Hotep, peace and blessings. Today, I want to discuss who wants to take the leftovers when you have options. And this is in relation to the current events surrounding the king of R&B, R. Kelly. And you may disagree, but to me, I feel that he is the king of R&B of this generation. So, without any further ado, let's get into it. So, what do I mean by leftovers in terms of women? So, in terms of women, leftovers are women who have a higher body count. And women who usually have a higher body count are usually older, in their late 20s and all the way up into their 30s and 40s, right? Usually, it's always exceptions to the rules, but in general, I would say in general, women of this age range tend to have higher body counts. And usually, but not always, as we know nowadays, in current times, but I would say in general that women who are younger, right, usually have lower body counts. Now, when I say younger, I'm talking about the youngest you can go as far as the age of consent in your prospective state. So in California, it's 18. In other states, it's 16, it's 17. It depends on your state. That's what I mean by younger, right? So, and what does body count mean? Body count, if you don't know, it means that the woman has a high number of sexual partners. So the sexual partners are the body count, right? And so in terms of R. Kelly and doing my research, into the situation, I find that at first I had to look up what is the age of consent in Illinois? And upon doing the research, it says that the age of consent is 17. Now, they also said that, but in a situation where one individual has power over another individual, then that can be different. It's a stipulation to that. But basically, if it's a teacher or a supervisor or some type of upper management, and he or she are using their power to basically get sex from the person who is 17, then that can be a problem in the state of Illinois. In the state of California here, it's just 18. The age of consent here is 18, and that's when you're considered an adult. That's when you can, join, go to the military, for instance. You can vote, I'm assuming. You can, basically, if you're incarcerated, you don't go to juvenile hall, you go to county jail. So that is what's meant by the age of consent. And so when looking at this docu series, and I only looked at about, I would say, I looked at 2 episodes. I couldn't look at the rest because it just seems like it was a lot of fabrication going on. Though I'm not gonna, and I will say this as a disclaimer. I'm not condoning the acts against minors. If those allegations are indeed true in regards to R. Kelly, I'm not condoning that. But what I will say, upon looking at that documentary, Surviving R. Kelly, I noticed that a few of the women that came forward, when they said in particular, and I haven't watched all of it, but from what I watched, when they were talking about the time they met R. Kelly, a few of them said they were 17, right? And as I said, in some states, the age of consent is 17, and in some states, the age of consent is 16. And even in the documentary, when R. Kelly's brother was talking about, his older brother was talking about his R. Kelly's preference, he was like, yeah, my brother, he just prefers younger women, and I prefer older women. That's what R. Kelly's older brother said, the one that was incarcerated, when he was speaking on his brother, right? And so, if R. Kelly was going after younger women, and some of these women that came forward that said they met R. Kelly when they were 17, then that's a preference. And according to the law, that is not illegal if they were indeed 17, as they said they were, right? So when I look at that, I say, well, look, I can understand R. Kelly, right? Because as I said, who wants the leftovers, right? If you have options, and this is what we have to understand. Men of means and famous men are afforded more options in terms of women. Women, it's no secret, throw themselves at men of means and famous men. And so, and particularly being a famous male R&B singer, you're going to get a lot of women that's throwing it at you. That's just offering it to you on a platter, right? And so if you have the option, you can pick and choose, man. Why, if you have the option, why would you choose? If you have the option, would you choose the least best? You're going to choose the best, right? And when you look at that in terms of physiology, that tends to be the younger women, right? And as I alluded to, they generally have the lesser body count as opposed to older women who typically have a higher body count because they have more years of living in existence, right? So they have more opportunities to encounter more sexual mates, as opposed to a younger woman. So if R. Kelly was choosing, because he has this plethora of options, younger women, and they were at the age of consent, then there's nothing wrong with that. And I would say this, if I had those options, right, I would want those 18-year-olds. And that's a preference, because I know that one, they usually don't have much mileage on them, and two, hey, if your desire is to mold a woman, then it's much easier to mold a woman who is 18 than a woman who is in her late 20s to mid 30s, because usually by that time, those women are stuck in their ways. They're in their ways. Whereas as a younger woman, a woman at 18, 19, 20, up to about 24, they can be molded to how you want them to be. I mean, they can be molded. You can teach them. They're teachable. They haven't got to that point to where they just stuck in their ways and this is what they want, and they have all these expectations. So I would, if I had that plethora of options that R. Kelly had, I would choose the same thing. Women that touched right there at the age of consent, right? And so to go on to my next point, average men, they have to take what they can get. So when you got all these guys commenting, on social media on R. Kelly and, oh, I can't believe you dealing with pause. I can't believe you dealing with young women and, that's sick. I wouldn't do that. I got daughters, this, that, and the other. You only saying that because you don't have the options that he got. Okay? Because let's be honest. Let's keep it 100. If you had the options that he had, if you had hot, young, tight, tender young women throwing themselves at you, come on, bro. You got to be honest with yourself. You know you will be tempted to indulge. But the reason why you're saying that, because you are an average man and you don't have the top type of options that R. Kelly has, right? So it is what it is. So you take what you can get. You take what you can get, which is usually women older, women who have some mileage on them, women who may have children. You take that because that's usually what you are allotted due to you not being a high value male or a male of means or a famous male, right? And my last point is that women from all backgrounds, it don't matter, all backgrounds, throw themselves at men of high value and famous men. It don't matter the background. They throw themselves at these type of men, especially if these men have sex appeal, as R. Kelly has. He has sex appeal. So a lot of women from all age groups were throwing themselves at this man. You mean? And so if he has that option, as I said, if his preference is younger women, then there's nothing wrong with that. Long as they are of the age of consent. It's nothing wrong with that. And I would end this video with this, right? The other day, I was on social media. I was on Instagram. And I had looked at one of Floyd Mayweather's videos, one of his posts that he had put up. And it was him showing, he was in the video, and he was talking, and he was showing a suitcase, 2 suitcases full of watches, hundreds of thousands of dollars. One watch he showed was worth, I believe, 18 million. And then, sometimes Floyd takes the comments off, he disables them, and sometimes he leaves them. On this particular video, he left them. And so I decided to get, to take a look at the comments. And I seen a lot of, brothers was like, yeah, that's right, the champ, they was giving him his props. They was congratulating him. And then I looked at some of the women's comments, and I seen hearts and things like that. And then I decided to look at one particular commenter's page. It was because she had put like multiple hearts, and she had commented more than once. And after looking at her page, I looked at some of the video, her content on her Instagram page, and it was one post where she's saying that she just turned 16. So I was like, wow, look at this. a 16-year-old girl on a 40-year-old, 41-year-old male's page talking about calling how much she loved him and how much and basically throwing herself at Floyd. Now, I'm not sure if I'm clear on this, and I'll have to check it, but I think the age of consent in Nevada, I don't even know where she's located, but if she is in Nevada, I believe the age of consent is 16. I'm not sure. You can check me on that. But the point is, this young girl was throwing herself at this 40-year-old man, a man old enough to be way over old enough to be her father. And and it's not a secret how old he is. He's a public figure. Everybody know, right? It's out there. But it just shows you. So you got young women like this, and women from all ages throwing themselves at these men. And if you have that option, you're gonna want the pick of the litter. I would. You dig? So anyway, that's all for right now. You guys, like, subscribe to my page, and share it, and leave your thoughts in the comment section if you disagree. If you disagree with this line of thinking, then leave your thoughts in the comment section. But yeah. So y'all have a good one. Peace. Hotep.